Is it possible for a single interview to shake the way the world views a global idol who has long appeared perfect, closed off, and nearly untouchable? That question arose almost simultaneously with one name that suddenly returned to dominating cross-continental conversations: Jungkook. Not because of a new song, not because of a grand stage, nor because of a scandal, but because of something far more dangerous: honesty. When the February/March 2026 edition of Rolling Stone UK was released on January 3rd, few anticipated that an interview titled Jungkook, No Limits would transform into an emotional spark spreading across the world within hours. What exactly did Jungkook say that left ARMY silent, prompted pop culture academics to begin rewriting their analyses, and made the global music industry quietly realize that something had shifted? This interview is not merely a celebrity feature. It presents itself as a cultural document. Rolling Stone UK does not position Jungkook as an ordinary pop star, but as a subject of reflection, a human being who grew up under extreme scrutiny since the age of 15, then was forced to pause due to mandatory military service, before returning with a new awareness of time, the body, ambition, and limits, or perhaps their absence. In every paragraph of the interview, it is clear that Jungkook is not promoting something. He is opening something, and that is where the shock lies. Jungkook takes readers back to the very beginning, when he was still a teenage magne obsessed with training, not in a romantic or sweetly nostalgic tone, but with an honest admission of how intense the internal drive he possessed from a young age truly was. He does not cite talent as the main factor, but rather relentless work, nearly obsessive repetition, and a feeling of never being enough. From an academic perspective, this is a classic narrative of overachievement within the South Korean entertainment industry system, but coming from Jungkook himself, the story sounds far more personal and fragile. He is not boasting about the past. He is unraveling a burden he has carried for a long time. Then comes the moment that is now quoted thousands of times across social media: his confession about the song 7 Feet Lato. Jungkook calls the song the most important and most special turning point in his life. On paper, that sentence may sound simple, yet its implications are extraordinary. He admits that before 7, everything felt troublesome. That word, troublesome, hits readers with brutal honesty. How could a global star with a seemingly stable career peak feel bored and exhausted? But Jungkook does not stop there. He continues by saying that 7 made him want to come back, want to work again, want to continue a journey that had once felt heavy. In creative psychology, this is a clear example of the reignition of intrinsic motivation, when a single work restores meaning to the entire process. From that point, the interview moves to his solo album Golden. This is where many readers begin to feel uneasy, because Jungkook consciously distinguishes Golden from BTS's discography. He says that the solo album feels light, carrying neither the sentimental weight nor the collective message associated with BTS, but instead serves as a sonic experiment by a pop star testing his own boundaries. This statement is not merely a musical description. It is a declaration of identity. For the first time, Jungkook separates himself as an individual from the massive symbol known as BTS, without diminishing either. A remarkably bold step in an industry that often blurs individual boundaries in favor of group narratives. Yet what truly makes this interview shake its audience is his admission of regret. Jungkook openly says that after releasing Golden, there are things he wishes he could have done better, both in the songs and in the performances. In an idol culture that demands perfection and a flawless image, this admission feels almost subversive. He does not blame his team, he does not blame timing, he does not blame circumstances. He acknowledges dissatisfaction with himself, then states that it is precisely that regret that drives him to work harder. From a sociological perspective, this is a narrative of a growth mindset rarely exposed so nakedly by a figure of Jungkook's stature. The interview then enters a far quieter and more reflective phase. His experience of 18 months of mandatory military service, during which Jungkook served as a cook starting in December 2023. He reveals that while in the military, he could not work on music, even though the desire to do so persisted. That restriction, rather than extinguishing his creativity, instead built an intense longing. A longing not only for music, but for himself as an artist. He says that this longing made him want to do better, want to deliver something truly great when he returned. In the context of creativity theory, this period can be read as an incubation phase, when ideas are not executed but deepened. Even more surprising, Jungkook reveals that his military experience changed the depth of his thinking. His attitude toward time shifted. He began to avoid things that were bad for his body. He openly admits that he used to drink alcohol, but now he is trying to restrain himself. This statement, though brief, carries significant symbolic weight. It marks a transition from a phase of exploration to a phase of self-awareness. From a young idol living fast, to an adult man beginning to renegotiate his relationship with his body, health, and career sustainability. Yet it is precisely at this calmest point that the interview hides its greatest clue about the future. Jungkook does not speak with fear or hesitation. He speaks with controlled enthusiasm. He says that he is greatly looking forward to the next BTS album, to promotions with the other members, and to meeting ARMY again. This statement breaks speculation about emotional distance from the group, while simultaneously affirming that his individual exploration was never meant as an escape. He also expresses excitement about his work as a solo artist, with the desire to learn more about dance, especially street dance. This is not empty ambition. It is a concrete plan. All of this ultimately converges into one grand vision that has now become the most viral quote from the interview: his desire to become an artist without limits. Jungkook says that he has always pursued change, wants to create currents rather than be swept along by them, and does not want to be confined by any category. This sentence, for many ARMY, feels like a manifesto. For the industry, it sounds like a warning. And for Jungkook himself, perhaps this is the most honest confession of who he is right now. Is the world truly ready to accept Jungkook as he is, without filters, without safe narratives, without the frame that has long protected him? That question grew stronger precisely as the echo of the Rolling Stone UK interview continued to ripple beyond the first 24 hours. Because the more people reread each sentence, the more it felt that this was not merely a reflective interview, but a psychological and cultural turning point. Jungkook was not simply answering questions. He seemed to be correcting perceptions that had been built around him for more than a decade. And that correction, for some, felt liberating, while for others it unsettled a sense of comfort. ARMY's reactions on social media became the most honest indicator of the interview's impact. Korean translations circulated rapidly, followed by long analyses, quoted excerpts, and reflective threads that read Jungkook through the lenses of psychology, philosophy of time, and even work ethics. Many fans highlighted one consistent pattern. Jungkook does not speak about the past with nostalgia. He even explicitly says that he does not like the past and chooses to enjoy the present. This statement appears simple, but for a fandom accustomed to celebrating BTS's long journey as a collective heroic narrative, the sentence felt like an abrupt pause. Is Jungkook letting go of the burden of history? Or is he simply trying to survive without being drowned by it? In pop culture studies, Jungkook's stance can be read as a form of temporal reorientation, a shift in focus from memory-based identity to present awareness-based identity. He does not reject BTS, nor does he deny the past, but he refuses to be trapped within it. This is what makes the interview feel mature, even brave. Jungkook is no longer speaking as a generational symbol, but as an individual trying to make peace with time. And for an industry that has long sold nostalgia as a commodity, this stance feels almost radical. Jungkook's honesty is also clearly visible in the way he discusses his personal routines. He talks about eating one meal a day, about exercising consistently, about his belief that doing something small but continuously is far more important than making a big effort occasionally. This is not cliched motivation. It is a life philosophy born from prolonged exhaustion. Many fans read this section with mixed emotions: admiration, concern, inspiration, because behind that discipline lies a high price. Jungkook does not showcase a glamorous lifestyle. Instead, he reveals a rigid, almost ascetic life structure, as if he is fully aware that his body is his primary instrument, one that must not be damaged. At this point, Rolling Stone UK's role becomes crucial. The publication does not cut Jungkook's answers into merely sensational quotes. They allow the sentences to breathe. They make space for doubt, pauses, and ambiguity. The result is a portrait of an artist who is not trying to appear perfect, but whole. Interpreter Hae Lee even describes Jungkook as the most sincere and humble artist she has ever met, someone who easily shows his true self, including his playful side. This statement reinforces the impression that Jungkook's honesty is not a strategy, but a reflex. However, precisely because of this, the interview raises a sharper follow-up question. Does this honesty come too late, or perhaps too early? In the history of K-pop, the transition from idol to artist often happens gradually and in a controlled manner. Jungkook, through this interview, appears to leap directly into a phase of existential reflection that usually emerges at a more mature stage of a career. He speaks about limits, about change, about creating new currents, as if he is aware that momentum will not wait. For some observers, this is a sign of extraordinary maturity. For others, it signals long-suppressed internal pressure that a subtle debate emerges, not in the form of open conflict, but through interpretation. Some read Jungkook's statements about Golden as proof of artistic freedom. Others see them as a temporary emotional distance from BTS's identity. Some view his focus on street dance as a natural exploration. Others wonder whether this is preparation for a more dominant solo phase. Interestingly, Jungkook himself confirms none of these speculations. He simply expresses enthusiasm for BTS's comeback and for his growth as a solo artist in the same breath. This ambiguity is not a weakness. It is a strength. Emotionally, the interview also reflects a sense of longing that active idols rarely discuss openly. Longing for music, longing for the stage, longing for ARMY. A longing shaped by enforced silence during mandatory military service. Jungkook describes that period not as suffering, but as a process that intensified desire. In this narrative, military service does not become an obstacle, but a catalyst. It deepens his awareness of what truly matters. And when an artist with global influence begins to speak about the importance of time, health, and consistency, the impact extends beyond the fandom. It becomes a cultural example. The deeper this interview is read, the clearer it becomes that Jungkook is not seeking sympathy, nor is he building a new myth. He is reorganizing his relationship with the world. He does not want to be confined by genre, by labels, by past expectations, or even by the image of Jungkook himself. He wants to be an artist without limits, but not in a wild or uncontrolled sense. The limits he refers to are mental limits, perceptual limits, limits created by others, and often by himself. Here lies the greatest tension of this Rolling Stone UK interview. It does not provide final answers. Instead, it opens a wider space for questions. If Jungkook truly creates a new current, then who will follow it? Will BTS move together within that current, or form a larger parallel one? And how will the industry respond to an artist who refuses to be mapped in simple terms? So what happens after that honesty is spoken? After the words "without limits" are released into the public sphere, and after the world realizes that Jungkook is no longer speaking as a prodigy who grew up under the shadow of a system, but as an adult man fully aware of the direction of his own life? It is at this point that the Rolling Stone UK interview ceases to be a text and begins to transform into an echo that does not explode immediately, but slowly seeps into collective consciousness, leaving behind a sense of discomfort that makes people want to reread, re-listen, and rethink who Jungkook truly is. Anticipation for BTS's comeback in March 2026 now feels different. It is no longer merely the wait for new music or a reunion after a long hiatus, but a deeper curiosity. How will this new Jungkook stand within the group dynamics that shaped his name? His statement about looking forward to the next BTS album and meeting ARMY again sounds sincere, yet laden with meaning. He is not speaking as someone bound by obligation, but as an individual who chooses to return. Choice in this context becomes the key word. Jungkook is no longer moving because of the current, but because of his own will. Fan reactions have also gradually shifted from euphoria toward reflection. Many have realized that Jungkook is not promising anything sensational. He is not announcing a radical concept, not provoking conflict, not offering bombastic teasers. Instead, he is sharing a way of living. Small consistency, bodily discipline, awareness of time, the courage to admit regret. All of these form a new narrative of success that is far removed from instant glamour. Success as a quiet, repetitive, and often exhausting process. And it is precisely here that Jungkook becomes increasingly relevant, not only as an idol, but as a cross-generational cultural figure. The inspirations he mentions, such as the romantic films La La Land and The Notebook, add an unexpected emotional layer. Films about dreams, choices, loss, and love for the process rather than just the outcome. These references feel like subtle clues to how Jungkook views his own life. A journey that is beautiful but not always easy. A story about chasing dreams without guaranteeing a perfect ending. In that context, his desire to live in the present makes sense. The past is too heavy, the future too speculative. The present is the only space where he can breathe. Through this interview, Rolling Stone UK has, perhaps unintentionally, documented a rare moment of transition. A moment when a global artist pauses, looks inward, and then steps forward without full certainty. There is no promise that a path without limits will be easier. There is no guarantee that the world will always accept change. But Jungkook seems to have made peace with that risk. And perhaps that is the core of the entire interview. Not about what he will achieve next, but about his courage to no longer narrow himself for anyone's comfort after this honesty. There is no way back to the old image. Jungkook has opened a door that cannot be closed again. And when an artist of his magnitude chooses to live without limits defined by others, the world has only two options. Follow the current he creates, or be left behind, endlessly wondering when the moment of change truly began. Now we know the answer. It all began when Jungkook finally chose to speak honestly.